Hello and welcome to the ARTI'VIEW programme with ARCHES Paper. I'm Chloe Baker and I'm about to get in touch with Alun Kirby. Alun, hello.
Hi, Chloe. Thank you for having me.
Lovely to see you. Where are you? Where are you based?
I'm in Porto. We're just outside the city centre on the Atlantic coast in a place called Matosinhos. We moved here about 8 months ago from the UK.
What techniques do you use?
So I use mostly cyanotype and origami. And the cyanotype is from the very birth of photography. So you basically coat paper with the chemicals and they become sensitive to ultraviolet light, which is sunshine. And then you put the paper outside with the subject on top. And the sun changes the colour to blue and white.
In a few words, how would you qualify your art?
I would say that I'm trying to express ideas about memory in a visual way. So my work is often geometric, it's often quite abstract, but it's also grounded very much in the realities of how we understand memory and how memory affects our sense of personal narrative. And my justification for that, or one of the things that's pushed me that way, has been working with people who live with dementia and trying to express their lived experience to try and advocate on their behalf, really.
What are the subjects that most inspire you?
For a long time I made images that I thought were pretty for the sake of being pretty. It felt like I was trying to make beautiful pictures, like a lot of artists do, or pictures that I thought were visually attractive anyway. And then a few years ago, somebody got me to question my practice from a very basic level, and I realised that all the things that I'd been doing had a relationship with memory, and it changed my direction.
In your opinion, who is the greatest artist of all time?
But I decided to go with a poet, and I really like Japanese haiku, and there's a haiku poet called Issa, and his works are so beautifully human and very internally visual, I suppose, and he's the artist I keep coming back to for inspiration and joy.
Tell us about a decisive moment in your artistic life, about a turning point.
I was looking for a way to express memory as a concept visually, and I had discovered origami and had crossed it with the cyanotype process and came up with this thing that I call metamorphogram. So this is an origami vase. It's designed by a Japanese artist called Tomoko Fuse. And so this vase is made out of watercolour paper, 300-gram watercolour paper. It's been coated with cyanotype chemicals. And it can just sit, and it will sit for days or weeks or months. And it has its experience. And at the end of that time, I unfold and develop the paper, and I get an image. And the image I get will look something like this. So, and for me, the important thing about this was that whereas a traditional photograph is a visual reminder but not actually a memory, in philosophical terms, these images are memories. So that would be the memory of the experience that the paper had when it was an origami vase. So I could capture this memory of experience as a visual expression on a piece of paper.
What was your first experience with ARCHES paper?
So about 20 years ago, I started making cyanotypes in the small garden of our London house at that time. And cyanotypes are often made on watercolour papers. And I knew very little about watercolour paper. I hadn't really used it before. So I went to the shops and bought a few different papers and saw the ARCHES paper and tried one of the blocks. And when I did my first experiments testing exposure times and different chemical mixes and things, the ARCHES paper was just head and shoulders above it. It just attracted me from the depth of colour that I was getting, the tactility, so the physicality of the paper, and the texture. So the first paper I bought was a rough paper, and I think I fell in love with the texture. And it was after that that I went and explored with smooth papers, for example, for certain images. The smooth paper is better. But yeah, I kind of, it was seeing a colour on the ARCHES paper that I wasn't seeing with the other papers that really hooked me.
If you were to sum up ARCHES paper in just a word or a few words.
Yeah, so there's a few words: resilient, expressive, and collaborative, I think. Another aspect of the ARCHES paper is the ability to do things to it that it maybe doesn't expect to have done to it. So this image is based on the Norse mythology of Odin, and he had two ravens, Hugin and Munin, which were thought and memory. And in this, I've made an image of the raven feathers, and then sewn those raven feathers to the image itself, so the paper is stitched into. And the paper stands up very well to this unorthodox treatment.
And what are you currently working on?
I work with the Centre for Philosophy of Memory, which is at the Université Grenoble-Alpes, and we are organising a conference to bring together artists and philosophers to talk about our different understandings of memory.
If you were going to a desert island for an indefinite period of time, what would you pack?
I would have my haiku books that are very inspirational. Obviously paper and cyanotype chemicals, and if possible, our dog, I think.
Thank you very much, Alun Kirby. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, appreciate it.